Kadash, 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 Adonai, Elohim, Sabayah, meaning holy, 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 Lord of hosts. Lord meaning Yah, He, Va, He, masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine, as a collective whole, creating the tetragrammaton, the Elohim. In the beginning, Elohim said, let us create them in our image. Today, we're going into the secret book of wisdom again to stanza 12, the last stanza of this book, until we get into the meat and bones of multiple topics in the back. Stanza number 12 is titled, The Birth of the Gods. A new whirlwind burst into the hearts of those who were walking in the vanguard of humanity at its front lines. They accepted the currents, this new energy, this new love. They began to feel themselves responsible not only for the world as a whole, but for every human being in particular, because they were created to be leaders. The Most High said, let us create them in our image as a likening to ourselves, so we can be manifesting them on the earth. But for every human being in particular, they turned their attention to the people, first of all to those who were lagging behind, meaning lacking. The darkness was still making her influence felt in the back rows, and ignorance reigned among people who still bore the fearfully weighty load of earthly deeds. These specimens of the new man came to share the burdens of affliction and to save victims from the clutching hands of the darkness. The first became the last, and having made a commitment not to retreat until the last became the first, as it says in the Bible. First shall be the last, and the last shall be the first. Those that are the head will become the tail, and those that are the tail will become the head. As it grew even harder to obtain new provisions of malice, either as food or as thought, the darkness aimed her most aggressive blows at the beacons who were shielding the stragglers with their own bodies. They had successfully blocked the channels by which evil could still gulp down several dainty morsels thickly saturated with blood. The darkness attacked the light, trying to break through to the victims, but the beacons were adamant and refused to yield to the greedy pretensions of evil. The world was under the protection of the light, vigilantly defending its own children and sheltering them with the impenetrable shield of love. Eternal hymns to the gods could be heard resounding from the hearts that were advancing towards the light. Eternal hymns, inwards, speaking from within, from the heart. And it doesn't always, your prayers don't always have to be out loud, because the Most High is the Eternal One who lives within you, which is the macro prosophist manifest and the micro prosophist. How do you make that happen and the wheat comes back to the shaft? You have to ascend to your higher self, be raptured, because God is vast countenance, and you cannot be on a low frequency in a worldly mind and Him be manifest within you. Therefore, you just be a dud, and that's not what He created you to be. The world around them was gradually revealing itself with new illumination, dissolving the thick gray shroud that had previously cloaked them in gloom. It was as if the heart were expanding the boundaries of its domains, increasing its capacity to bear light. Some people were finally purified through and through. These now resemble fiery spears, not unlike the sun. Their fiery white cords radiant, never-ending currents of love into the world, spreading them day and night into every nook and cranny, meaning every crevices and crack in every part, literally transfiguring the entire world. Those who had successfully transfigured themselves now serve the planet as a whole. Like I said before, we are all in control of our own judgment and salvation. We have free will, so it's our job to do the work. We also have to walk by faith, not by sight, lean not on our own understandings, and know that faith without works is dead. Being a being as a human being means doing. We have to do the work. It goes hand in hand, it goes both ways. You have to meet halfway, then you get met. Those who had successfully transfigured themselves now serve the planet as a whole, augmenting her aurora of pure radiance light. The darkness kept growing smaller and smaller, meaning decreasing, declining, not being able to have its grasp on the world and affect people as it once did. Only a man of inventiveness and insidiousness could save her now, as she vainly tried to find a secret hiding place where she could escape the burning rays of the hearts afire with love. Like I said before in the videos, these people know how to hide real good. And it's also prophesied in the Bible that says in this end time they will flee, hide in the crevices of the rocks, tell the rocks to fall on them, to hide them from them that cometh from up there. The word of heaven, which meaning the Shemayim, carried the law within itself, cosmic law of cause and effect. For the very first time it was actually honored, for the first time it was recognized and fulfilled. The law of love applied to everyone. It presided over all other laws and constituted their fiery white core. It nourished all the others with its currents, and it alone was able to bring all the norms and rules of life into harmony with each other. In order for the evil inclination to be expelled, we all have to be on one accord, in one mind, and synchronized as a collective whole, and harmonized in love, the love frequency, which is divine love. The law of laws ruled the world, and there was none more just anywhere in the whole world. The solar disk began to lose the density of the tightly knit strands of fire. He was undergoing the process of renewing, bearing the new inflow of waves of divine love, that new energy coming to the earth, that plasma, which is unlocking the plasma in your DNA. The gods transformed the visible, denser form into invisible, more delicate ones. The sun, it seemed, was taking on the quality of transparency, embracing a state of absolute calm and weightlessness. He observed how the earth was changing shape. She was also becoming more rarefied, while those who only a short while ago had been creeping and crawling on her, without the strength to lift themselves or even stretch their limbs, were now moving freely across her surface, their feet barely touching the ground. The dense, petrified bodies had come through the period designated by evolution. These is those new bodies what it talks about in Revelation, and us being upgraded to be able to reign and live 1,000 years with the messianic energy. Growing ever lighter in weight, they were gliding like gods who had at once found themselves on the earth for the first time, because they created us to be in their image. Those that endure to the end are going to receive this blessing. After all, the sons of God were gods themselves. This is the biggest secret and mystery on this planet. Just as the Son of Man was also a man. See? Confirmation. A mystery was unfolding throughout the universe. Only the gods knew what their transfiguring power of love would do for the world, and that was perfect for people wholly trusted their hearts to their saviors and filled these hearts with unthinkable love for them. The word of silence was the chief means of communication. As people's sensitivities became more refined, coarse speech gradually wore out its appeal. Basically, meaning we're going into telepathy. You can speak with your mind, your heart, and your conscience. And this is the language of the angels and the celestial bodies. They use signals and frequencies and telepathy. People began to speak the language of the heart. Well, let's call it the language of the heart, the language of love. It did not need lengthy explanation since it was simple and immediately understandable. People had nothing to explain or to prove. Everything in the world was pure and crystal clear. So there's no darkness to block you. There's no strong delusion for you to be deaf, dumb, and blind. It was clear as day. Nothing was hidden from you anymore. That's why it has to be an apocalypse, because through chaos comes salvation. And it has to be a great revealing. And that great revealing causes a great cleansing. It basically cuts their power smooth off. In this special state, people no longer had any overwhelming desire to speak. Their lips stayed closed for the ages. Oh, hallelujah. Telepathy, telepathy, telepathy. And as they were no longer needed, all the motives and aspirations of the soul could be expressed through the eyes. You ever heard the saying, the eyes are the windows to your soul? And the heart sun affirmed the trust of the spirit, enveloping all with the caressing currents of divinely pure love. Love did not know words and never needed them, for she could speak only with the voice of great silence, and people welcoming that speech with understanding. We know understanding in the Hebrew Sephiroth means Bina, and wisdom is Chokmah, which is Anna Chokmah, Mother Wisdom, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, the womb of manifestation. So they can be manifest in us here on this planet. The gift of the gods, the warmth of love, the gift of the heart, a tribute to divine love. The world was aglow in the fire. There was born gods. They descended to the earth to receive the fiery baptism of the Spirit. The warmth of love embraced the planet, giving her a mark resembled to the fiery white core of the sun. Like a blazing star, she shone in the vaults of heaven. Now, as a celestial luminary, generously endowing emerging life with the light of love. There far away, dust condensed in the darkness, whirlwinds mingled with currents, and a small planet took shape, capable of supporting life. Oh wow, I just watched a video on something like this. And amid the multi-diversity of shapes and forms, a single note of love would hold sovereign sway. The earth would devour to put into it all the gentle light of soul, so that this newborn speck would never know misfortune or affliction, would never experience the tenacious pause of the suffocating darkness. Let the light hold sway thereon forevermore. Perhaps someday it would even become a star, and full of the fires of gratitude would remain near the earth to adorn the firmament with a new little star. Then they would help conceive and give rise to another planet, and then another. These planets would beautify like a resplendent cluster the infinite ocean of eternity. The gods who proudly look upon the bright fires of the new enchanting constellation, blessing with their divine vision this highest labor, the labor of love. The colors of the day return to the earth, and imbuing means infusing light of illumination. Man knew his future, for he had acquired divine insight. In this future, he would have to create by his own hand. Like I said before, we are in control of our own judgment and our own salvation, our own ascension process to our rapture, to our higher self, because we have free will. The gods were waiting for man to take more purposeful steps in their direction. They're waiting for us. We're not waiting for them. And people were taking those steps. No longer did they stop to fall into a long and uninterpreted heavy sleep. The future belonged to them. They were creating it in the rhythm of every instant of life. That's why I say every second count, every minute count. It all counts.